So let's get into it.
I've made every single one of my clients cry.
Telecoms, sales.
HR is about creating environments where people feel safe.
Are you asking me why social media just moves so quickly?
What the hell's going on with the bank?
Can we move on?
It's not something that I want to put out there.
I will put it out there. Let's get the party started.
Excellent.
Mr. Paul Nash.
It's good to be here, mate. Thank you.
I know everybody says your full name instead of your single
That's
name,
right.
or should I call you by Lord Nash? Sorry.
We'll just go with Paul Nash for now.
Paul Nash. So, telecoms,
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
Been in the sales industry for quite a long time, probably seen lots of weird and wonderful things.
Yeah. I've been in lots of different types of sales as well. So I've seen, every aspect really, company, business to business, business to end user. I've sold into retail. I've worked in retail. So I've seen lots of
retail.
I've seen lots of different aspects of it.
Now, managing director of a telecoms company. I have
That's
been
right.
for 5
Nearly
years.
5 years, yeah.
5 years now. How's business? How's it going?
Business is going well, growing constantly. Fortunately, we work in an industry in telecoms where potentially everybody is a customer. I don't know anybody that doesn't use a telephone. I don't know anybody that doesn't use the internet.
Yep.
It's not to say it makes it easy, but I would suggest that our pool, our target market is slightly wider than most.
Yeah, fairly wide, because literally everybody uses a telephone.
That's right.
Be
Why-
that landline or SIM card or whatever else.
Yep.
Everybody uses telephone.
Anyone that's got kids will understand as well that Wi-Fi is like air and water to teenagers. So you can't have a home without a good internet connection, and that fortunately then trickles through into businesses as well.
It helps with home life balance, so it keeps the peace at home by having good
That's
Wi-Fi.
right. That's right. Those little square panes of childminders people give their kids, or iPads, I think they're called.
Yeah, I love it. My other half, actually bringing on to Wi-Fi, my other half raised a ticket with my team to have Wi-Fi, business Wi-Fi improved at home. Because her partner has been promising to do it for 10 years since we lived in the house. To which my team quite professionally said, yes, no problem. Would you like your company to pay for it? Because she works for a corporate.
Yeah.
Or are you paying for it yourself? And she was like, I'll pay for it in cakes and baking.
Excellent.
Which always works well.
Excellent.
She now has Wi-Fi at home that functions and works.
So what you're telling me is your home network is like a mechanic's car.
Yes.
You work on it, you're a professional, you wouldn't dare see your customers go without, but home's home, right? So,
100%. 100%. So in business for 5 years, grown from a small client base to a larger client base.
Yep.
Work with lots of different industries.
Yes. Yeah. Very lucky in that respect. We're not held to one vertical market. As I said before, everyone uses the internet.
Is there one vertical market that you do more with than the other, or is it a widespread? Or
I would say it's fairly widespread. We seem to have found an odd sweet spot with estate agents.
okay,
I guess it's because they like a smart or an intelligent phone system. So we help them with IVRs, call distribution around the business.
for our customers at home, just explain what
Do
IVR
apologise.
is.
Do
for
apologise.
us.
An IVR is an incoming voice recording, often called an auto attendant. When you phone a bank or someone, you hear press 1 for this, 2 for that. That's your auto attendant or your IVR. And we use that to help distribute calls around your call groups within the business to make sure the right people answer the phones.
Okay. So please press 1 for account.
That's
Please
right.
Press 2 for sales. Please
right.
Press 3 for this.
It serves a few purposes. It makes you look a little bit more professional as a business. That's my opinion. But more importantly, it means that calls don't go unanswered, because when somebody presses an option on that IVR or on the auto attendant, you know your call is going to the correct group of people within a business, and it won't just be ringing on one phone, it will be ringing on multiple phones. So your call is picked up. The most important thing to us is to make sure that any of our customers or clients are well looked after at all times.
Okay. So your company ethos around what you've built and the way you want to service your clients is what? What's the plan?
The idea behind Cinch Telecoms is I kind of always wanted to start my own business. I wasn't too sure what that was going to be. It was much more opportunity based. It turned out it was going to be telecoms. And the important thing to me, if you're going to run a business, is try and be the business that you would like to work with. Does that make sense?
Yep, 100%.
The idea is there's lots. It's a very competitive marketplace in telecoms, in IT for you. There's a lot of people out there. In my opinion, the way to get ahead is to treat people like people. So to Cinch Telecoms, you're a customer, not a customer number. That's a big part of how I would like to be treated when I go elsewhere. And I find in life generally, but certainly in business, if you treat people how you want to be treated, the world tends to smile back on you.
Oh, 100%. I have a recent one where I was on site with a client for IT purposes, and they are a BT customer.
Okay.
And I needed to speak to BT on their behalf. BT would not talk to me without an account number or a customer number.
Yeah.
Even though I could give them the company name, the address, the postcode, they were like, nope, we need the number. And it goes back to what you were saying about them being a number rather than a company or a person.
Now, if I was being fair to them, there's obviously some GDPR issues there. However, I would also argue that if someone from the business is able to qualify to take part in that call and they can request that you are also involved in it,
100%.
they should let you through. But we hear a lot from other IT partners that explain that getting the tech information, specific tech information they need from BT customer service can sometimes be a little bit difficult,
painful.
I've heard that banded around. It's not something that I want to put out there, but
I will put it out there. It is painful. There are current videos on my channels about how painful talking to customer service with a customer of BT was for my engineers. So
this again, it forms part of who we are and why we do things the way we do. I found in my personal experience that it's painful when you're involved in these really long customer service chains. You need one specific piece of information. You know what it is you require, but you get a lot of computer says no. So we make sure that anyone answering our phone is capable of delivering that information to you. We just want to shorten the chain of any painful experience for the business.
You've gone back to the, I generalize, but you've gone back to the older style of doing business in the way of you do business with the person and the company, not it's not a machine.
Absolutely.
It's that due care and attention.
Absolutely. And it's easy for me to say this when you compare us to someone like Openreach or British Telecoms. It's chalk and cheese. We're two different sized businesses. However, we have started from the ground up with this ethos in mind and have no intention of leaving that behind as we grow bigger. So everything we do as we scale the business up, everything will be done with that customer focus in mind, because we know from talking to people, that's the pain point.
Yeah, that. And so where do you guys stand on 5 and 7 year telecoms contracts?
5 and 7 year telecoms contracts
made you laugh. So there's obviously something there.
Well, look, they benefit one party in the agreement, don't they?
The telecoms provider.
I would say that is probably the case. Now, I've not always been against it, and there are some industries where these lengthy contracts serve both parties really well. A mortgage, for example, you get locked in. I mean, it could go badly, but you could lock yourself in for 5 years at an interest rate while the interest rates are going through the roof. But it's that kind of thinking that has brought us to where we work. So we don't ask our clients to join a contract with us that is longer than we have a contract in place with the carrier, if that makes sense. So we're resellers. I hate to spoil any illusion. I haven't got a band of old ladies out in the back office knitting the internet. We buy it from somewhere else.
There's an image there.
Maybe we could get on some
Chris,
AI.
Cutting an image of some old ladies knitting the internet in a back room, please.
I'm thinking cardigans, grey hair and knitting needles. But anyway, so to dispel the myth, we don't have people out the back knitting the internet for us. It's a service that we purchase from somewhere else and we then value add, we resell it to our clients.
But you're at a level that you purchase it direct from carriers. So you would purchase it direct from the Openreaches, the BTs.
That's correct.
You're not further down the chain. There, in my history of working with other telecoms providers, some of them can be a few levels down. So there's like 3 resellers in between the customer and the carrier, whereas you guys are are the reseller in between
That's
the
right.
carrier.
So we work with lots of different partners in lots of different ways. So there will be a couple of products that we purchase probably where we are maybe third in the chain. But in most cases, we have strived to make sure that the chain of command, as it were, is as short as possible. So if you were to have a problem, you speak to me. If I can't fix it, I speak to the people I buy it from, the carrier in most cases.
Yeah.
It's short, it's quick, and that's what you guys as IT providers need. And even if it's me talking to one of my clients directly, that's what they need. People have a very twisted perception. Telecom, no news is good news in telecoms.
Yep.
Probably the same in IT as well.
Yep.
I won't hear from anyone for 364 days of the year, but the one day something happens, I've got to act.
Yeah.
As a business, we have to react really quickly because unfortunately, the 364 days a year it worked properly won't be remembered.
No,
just
that one.
The one day we had a problem will be remembered. And in life in general, I'd like to think that people aren't judged on the mistakes they make, but how they fix those mistakes. And I kind of lump this into the same category.
Yeah. In my experience, a lot of the time we are judged on our mistakes more than how we fix them.
It's what people
in personal
remember.
life and in IT. But yeah, I get your point. Is that that you want to treat people the way you would expect to be treated, right?
In any industry and in life, mistakes happen. So I didn't cause a mistake. It was something that occurred as a result of circumstance.
Yep.
How I resolve that change in circumstance, I think, is the portion of that equation that gets remembered by people.
100%. Yeah. It's because then they remember, oh, Paul fixed it, or the team at Cinch fixed it in this way.
That's right.
And they were quick to it. So when somebody says to them, who should we talk to about telecoms? They're going to go, oh.
Yeah. So
That's right,
I'm
Paul.
really conscious that if a business's telecoms go down, if the phone line supporting the broadband goes down, now I'm not in control of that, but I do supply it via a third party. So phone line has gone down. The broadband product is not working. That means their phones might not be working. They're not in contact with their clients anymore.
Yep.
So we would receive a communication call, email, however that may come in. We need to start acting immediately to try and resolve that, because it's not
critical.
It's not just that there's an issue with a service we provide. It has a knock-on effect, a ripple effect that affects many other people. So in that instance, we'd react as quickly as possible to divert any call traffic that might be coming in to a separate device, be it a mobile phone or something else.
Oh, nice.
And we will act immediately to test the phone line, to try and find out where the fault is. 9 times out of 10, we can fix it immediately.
What do you find is the biggest challenges when you're dealing with, because you telecoms industry, much like the IT industry, when we deal with human beings, be that clients, be that end users, be that the other side, they're usually at a higher stress level because something's wrong.
Yes.
So what do you find the best ways to deal with that type of situation are?
I think the key to trying to deal with that situation, because there is 2 elements that require attention here. First of all, there is the perception of the client, and the levity to which they've brought to this phone call. For example, like I said, heightened levels of stress because it is affecting their business. But also we need to fix the root cause of the problem. Now, the very first thing to do is to reassure them this isn't going to be a problem. We're on it immediately. You have 100% of our focus because that's what you pay us for.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, that falls into customer, not customer number. We care about the businesses we provide to. They're the lifeblood of my business.
Yes, it's what allows you to be in business.
That's correct, yeah. So I guess don't forget where you came from. It's another really important thing.
It's fairly cliche, but it is a good analogy. It's going up that ladder and remembering that the people that are there and that they are humans that are there helping you up that ladder. So being in business 5 years, or in your own business 5 years, should I say? What valuable lessons have you learned as a business owner, as a business operator, that have made you go, oh shit, I didn't know that, and that made you either think or work in a different way, that type of thing?
I think there's always like a whoa element when you first start a business, because the idea of it is probably, or at least in my case, was quite different to the reality of it.
Why so?
Well, look, when you own a business, owner operator, so I'm working within the business, but essentially the buck stops with me. There is nowhere to hide as the owner of a business. Ultimately, anybody that is working for you that completes a task, you are responsible for the outcome of that. I'm pretty fortunate. I've got some nice broad shoulders, but sometimes it's difficult. The other thing I learned is that you have to not make it personal. This is business. So we provide a really personal service, but you have to remember that sometimes people are angry. They're not angry at you. They're angry at a situation. So it's a good opportunity to take a step back, have a little think, take a breath, respond as the business, not as the person.
Yes.
I think that's really important. You're representing your brand at all times. And you need to be mindful of that.
Personal emotions.
Yeah. It's easy to get het up. Someone's coming at you aggressively. Your first reaction is to be defensive. So I've had to learn how to not do that. Listen to what they're saying on face value and just pick out the information.
Yep.
And then work on the information, because they're not even really as angry as they think they are. They're reacting to a situation at their end that they maybe hold my company responsible for. We just need to explain to them that we treat all of these issues or any of these circumstances with the utmost of importance.
Yep.
And our job is to get you working again. You tend to find that people calm down anyway.
Yeah. It's people, I suppose. It's knowing how to deal with a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And knowing how to not so much control a situation, but knowing how to guide a situation so that at the end of the day, you're there they need to achieve something. So you're there to help them, provide the solution for them to achieve something.
So what I have learned is people sometimes, if there is a perceived problem or an issue with a product or service they're buying from my company, as an example, they might approach it with a level of aggression because that's what they had to do with their last provider to get a result. So once we've had that first phone call in that fashion, and they understand that we work differently and we fix problems, we're solution providers. So when we provide a solution to their problem, it all goes away. And the second, third, fourth contact, way nicer.
Badly trained is what we call that in the IT.
So
the client has been badly trained.
Yeah, I would agree. So we're trying to breed a nice culture for customers and employees at Cinch. And sometimes it just takes a little while for someone to understand how we work. And once they do, interactions are absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think it goes the same over for any industry when they've had a bad time of it with their last provider, especially if their last provider, and this is a generalization, but especially if their last provider is one of the bigger companies.
It can happen.
That they're classed as a number, or even a smaller company that has then grown and grown exponentially, outgrown them as a client. They get into that rut of, oh, well, actually, to get anything done, we had to shout. We had to send really shouty emails, or we had to get on the phone and be the worst people we possibly can be, because otherwise we don't get reaction. They don't take us seriously enough.
I've always felt that a business relationship is still a relationship. So why would you treat that communication between two parties any differently as you would if you just made a new friend or you've just met a new partner or something like that? Just because it's business to business doesn't mean it needs any less of the personal element associated with it. 100%. And you get back what you put out there in this world.
Karma.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do good and good will come back.
Yeah, I agree.
Any nuggets that you have on the way in which, so not so much client base, but the way in which you've learned or you've now understood how bits of business work and how the functioning side of the business works over the clientele side of the business?
So you mean like picking up efficiencies along the way? Yeah,
picking up efficiencies, or the way in which certain bits function, or just making the company work better.
So I love love learning things, consume information, enjoy consuming information. And if I can use that to forward myself, my business or relationships with clients, I'm all over it. I think it's well worth doing. More recently, we have another company that works with an AI text to speech product.
Okay.
And because we've started using AI,
AI's awesome.
we're getting involved in that. There's good and bad, same as anything else.
Yep.
I'd like to
It's a
think
tool.
we're using it for good to bolster something we already do.
Okay.
So we're using it to assist us with a job as opposed to replace a person.
Yep.
I'm all for that. But what I've learned, getting back onto the efficiency thing, is AI stacking, which I know you're into as well.
Yep.
But through the process of AI stacking, we can shorten the amount of time it takes to deliver a really nicely rounded product to people. So big on that. That's an efficiency. It's a time efficiency that we've picked up.
You guys are like us when it comes to AI in that you use it as a tool,
Yeah.
the tool that it is, not looking at it replacing a person as it's going to replace this job, because there's a lot of scaremongering out there. It's going to replace this job and it's going to replace this.
Yeah. I'm using it to enhance what we're doing.
Yes, exactly. An enhancement, just like you should with any good tool that you have, it should always be an enhancement.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We found that when we very first started, people have voice messages on their phone systems, be that an IVR, like we spoke about earlier, the incoming voice recording, voicemails, things like that. People quite often don't want their own voice on their own phone system. So to start with, I would do it.
I've heard your voice.
You'll have heard my voice
systems. Yep.
all over the place.
On some clients I didn't know were your clients. But yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
My personal view is, as the business grows, I haven't really got the time to be doing that sort of thing.
No.
I don't think it's a great look that the same voice is on so many different businesses in such a close area.
I remember an older telecoms company that used to be the case.
Yeah. So we're trying to now move away, and we're offering a service. It's a full wrap service. We will provide information on hold, which is really useful for any business.
Yep.
All of the voicemails and IVR messages, anything like that. It just keeps it cohesive. It sounds really professional, but it's freeing up a lot of my time as well by doing this.
Oh yeah, because you're using the tool correctly in the way that it should be, which is enhance the product that you do, cut down the time it takes you to do it, which means you deliver better to the client, you deliver a better product. And
changes can be made on the fly. So previously, I'm the only person with my voice. So if my voice is all over your telephone system and I'm not available for whatever the reason, you have to wait until I am before we can make that change.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we're using the AI products and stacking now, there are other members of the team that can now produce exactly the same work in a short time frame.
Yeah. And that gives you an efficiency.
That's right.
It gives you an efficiency, and it gives you that ability to respond to clients when they need you to. You guys are much like my team at TCCB in the fact of you provide a solution, not a product, not a technically a service. It is a solution to whatever the problem is that the clientele has.
Yeah, so we've got a set product set that we work with. You know, it's not set in stone, but these are things that we're really good at, that we do all the time, that we can deliver to a high level to our clients. Now, if someone comes to me with a specific problem, we would never say no. I will always look to see if we have a solution that we can make work with that. However, what I have learned in business that is really important is if I cannot do it, people are more responsive if I was to put my hand up and say, look, I'm really sorry. On this occasion, I can't help. Have you considered speaking to these guys?
Yeah.
I don't want to ever be a jack of all trades.
No.
Although I do think people misunderstand that quote in its entirety.
Yeah, there is an entirety to
there
that,
is.
But I don't remember what the entirety. Do you remember what the entirety to the quote is?
Something along the lines of a jack of all trades is better than a master of none.
Yes, and there is an extra bit to it as well, and I don't remember there's an extra bit of the sentence to it, but it puts the whole
it flips on its head.
Complete different frame.
The average understanding of this is that you're better off to work with a professional in one area than you are someone who dabbles in a lot of things. So we work professionally across quite a few areas of data provision and telephony in general. But I'd never outright say no to somebody. If I can't do it, I will recommend somebody else that can. And that's not for my benefit. It's because I want to provide a service to my clients. I want to be the go-to person. with my clients. I'd rather
Yeah.
that call came through me first and I pushed it away to somebody else than me never getting that call in the first place.
100%, because then it assists in building relationships.
That's right. Well, that's the key thing, isn't it? Become that trusted person.
Yeah. So I know that you are and were more active, but are still a skateboarder.
Yeah, of types. Yeah.
Of types. Is there anything that you've bought from your past history? So working in sales, working in different industries, or from skateboarding, from that type of thing, because it's a mindset that you've bought in, that you've found that it's benefited because you knew that it's benefited.
Absolutely is.
In a way, you
persistence.
Okay.
Persistence, and there is no failure. So I don't fail. I might fall over sometimes, but I learned how not to do it next time. So there is no failure. It's just lessons, and you get back up and you do it again, and you keep going until you get the job done. You've
had a few scuffed knees and a few broken arms, broken wrists and stuff. That's what I'm reading in between those lines.
It's important. It taught me persistence. And that you just keep going till you get it done. If I failed skating, I'd never learn anything. It taught me other things as well. Taught me that the world's a big place, that communities are important. And if you're part of a community, the world isn't such a big place anymore. This works in business as well. So I don't need to be a master of everything. My company doesn't do IT. Yeah. But we have a great partnership between our two businesses, which means I can offer a better service to my clients as well. So I guess the main thing is persistence. If you do anything consistently, you will get good at it.
100%. I think there's a video that I watched the other day that was something like, if you do an hour of exercise, it has minimal benefit. So one hour exercise. But if you do 10 minutes every single day over a course of period of time, you get more benefit out of it because you are consistently doing it rather than just one.
I saw something similar. The guy reckoned if you did one thing every day for 18 minutes, after a year, you will be in the top 5% of people that are trying that thing.
Wow.
So your consistency will pay off.
Chris, did you hear that? All you got to do is the same thing for 18 minutes every single day for a year, and you'll be an ace at it.
You're bilingual.
Yes.
Multilingual? Bilingual?
Trilingual.
Let's just focus on one of them.
Okay.
You've gone to South America. You're landed in a position where you don't speak the language. You practice that every single day.
Yeah, by force I had to, yeah.
Do you remember a point where you stopped thinking about what you were trying to do? Or did it all of a sudden it just became...
it just...
Do you know where I'm coming from with
it just became...
Just one day you stopped thinking and you were speaking.
It just became norm.
Yeah.
It just... Yeah.
So languages, the key one is when you start dreaming in your new language.
Oh, yeah, been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
And I'd imagine it takes a while when you come home to start dreaming in English again.
Yeah, and still now. So Spanish is one of the main languages that I speak apart from English. And I still have moments now, even though I don't get to practice my Spanish as much because I'm not surrounded by a lot of Spanish-speaking people. I still have moments now where I will have nights where I've dreamt in Spanish.
Yeah. Do you have a dream translator for you? Have you got like a guy there translating English?
No, brain just translates it automatically. But yeah, the language was a really good example because the language just happened.
Yeah.
I was then just understood. So I can remember the first point that I fully understood. So a conversation, as is other people speaking Spanish, and it worked in my head.
Yeah.
Because I got words and I understood words and I could say words but I couldn't hold a conversation. And Latin American Spanish speakers speak quite fast.
Yeah.
And when they speak together,
not a lot of breaks in between.
There's not a lot of breaks together. But I remember quite clearly the moment I was sat there and two people were in front of me speaking quite fluently, and it just made sense in my head. It was like, I literally understand everything that's coming out of your mouth. That I remember quite clearly. I was 18 at the time. So brain was still a little bit soft and malleable to learn stuff. But yeah, that bit I remember. But me actually just coming out fluidly, it just happened.
So I've been really half-assed learning Spanish for a long time. Started using Duolingo more recently, which I really like.
Yep.
I'm not good. I can read at about a 4-year-old level. So we're getting it. If you want to know about manzana, mate, I'm all over it. How many apples in this hand? I've got you. I saw a little while ago. So please understand, my understanding is very basic.
Yep.
But I can read more than I can speak.
Yep.
I saw a meme from one of my Spanish friends, and I had that moment because I knew what it said.
I get what it means.
I didn't have to think about it.
Yep.
I understood it. I couldn't tell you what it was now, but I've had that eureka moment, and I think that comes with absolutely anything you remain persistent with. And for me, I can stay persistent because I want that moment. That little click.
Have you had that moment in business? Have you had that moment where your brain has gone?
Yeah, loads of times.
Yeah.
But I don't think there'll ever be a definitive one in business because you're always trying to grow, you're always trying to evolve, and you're always trying to move on to the next thing. The moment you stand still and say, I've nailed this, you've lost.
You haven't.
No.
I heard somebody say that it is not. There is Simon Sinek says it quite a lot. It's an infinite game. There is no. It's not 90 minutes is over.
No,
the winner is, or the race is over and the winner is, because there's no end to it.
It will always, the industry we both work in, but telecoms particularly, always changing. As technology evolves, so will the way that people communicate, and thus that affects my business and the services we provide.
Yeah.
The moment it stops, things will get boring.
Really boring.
Same goes for business.
100% boring.
And as a solution provider, clients will, without doubt, always find you a new problem that requires a solution. That's part of the fun of it.
100%. And in some weird and wonderful way that you've not seen it happen before.
Always.
Do you find too many users lie?
We have a saying that works in Cinch Telecoms, and that is that men lie, women lie, data doesn't. We work in a fantastic environment where we're working with these digital systems, and pretty much everything is logged. There will be a trace somewhere along the line. We would never rub that in anybody's face, though. I think it's really important. It's a very useful tool, and it will provide a definitive result. But I think you always need to approach conversations with people where they're telling you one thing and the data says something different. Yeah. You need to just ease into that gently. So, for example, we quite often ask people if equipment has been reset. We will be confronted with, well, of course I've done that. I don't think you should ever do anything with the assumption or presumption that you're going to get anything in return. I like helping people. It's nice.
I had this conversation with Chris. So he was getting over the whole social media stuff that we're doing, he feels it when the views aren't there, or the likes aren't there, or that sort of thing. And it's like, I do it all without expectation. Yeah. I'm not doing it for the views. I'm not doing it. We're not monetized, so I'm not doing it for the money. It literally is to put some karma out into the world and assist other people that I've been in business 15 years now. Yeah. So if one of my things that I lost money on or it's caused me problems, just that one thing can help somebody else, and it only has to help one person.
Yep.
And it's just a pay it forward type of thing, isn't it?
A really good lesson for life, and particularly good in business. But if you do something with an expectation of return, you're opening yourself up for disappointment. Whereas 100%. If you do it like you've just explained, you're creating content to create content. That is the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Not to get anything back. That will come with time. But you won't be disappointed. And
unlike a lot of the content, I watched a video last night where it was this, there are two ways to present your content. You can either, to make it look professional, you can either read your script and then record and then go back and keep going like that, or you can learn your script. If my thought process on it, and this is where I think Gary Vee and a few of the other ones have got it right, if you are creating content about something you don't require a script.
Absolutely.
It's like when we go into business meetings, right?
Yeah, networking.
When we go and sit down in networking and you do your 60-second elevator pitch, You don't need to write a script if you know your business.
God, no, I'd
because
never
you're
write it
talking.
down.
I never did. 7 years of networking. Not once did I ever write my script.
No.
When we did the switchovers where we do somebody else's script or talk about somebody else's business, I always did it with somebody I knew really well because I know their business. So therefore I can talk about it without having to write a script. And it's like, I do the content stuff because I really quite enjoy it and I like talking. And I do it without a script because I know my shit. I only talk about the stuff that I know. I don't go on talking about freaking anything I don't know.
Are you finding that, back to the persistence thing and consistence, are you noticing that the more you do it, the easier it's becoming, the more free form it's becoming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So vastly so. So the more, not so much the talking to camera, because I don't mind talking to camera, but the clearer my thoughts become the more I do it. And because predominantly I talk around one subject at the moment, which is cybersecurity, because I know cybersecurity like the back of my hand, it becomes more fluider, and it doesn't work so well when I'm attempting to script it in my brain before I do it. I end up having to pause, think about it, go back and redo it. Whereas if it's natural and off the cuff, it's becoming more fluid, and it's just the podcast scenario. So this is the third one now. Okay. Sat down proper podcast for our YouTube channel, and even this is becoming easier for me. Even I realized it sitting here talking to you. It's I've learned a few things by rewatching my podcast, and I watch other podcasts which I really enjoy, and I'm like, have you done that bit? And not the technical side, because that's Chris's side, but the actual talking to the person. And I like to talk, so knowing to shut the fuck up
is the harder bit.
Harder bit, and I learned that from Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan, who I love his podcast, will ask a question and then he listens. He uses 2 ears and 1 mouth.
So I was told this
and listens
in an interview once. I was asked a question and just pretty much didn't stop talking until they told me to. And then they asked me, why did you do that? This is for a sales job. So I explained that I felt that it was the best opportunity for me to impart as much of my knowledge about that product to you. That, like, this is my opportunity to pitch to you. Yep. The response I got was 2 of these, 1 of these. To successfully sell something, the very first thing you need to do is ascertain the need of the person you are trying to sell to. And you don't do that by talking at them.
Ask more questions and listen. We had Howard Feather on recently on here on the podcast. And here, one of his biggest pieces of advice was 2 ears, 1 mouth, because he doesn't do it, much like I have trouble doing it. But he was like, 2 ears, 1 mouth.
So what I learned in sales across the board, not just with this, but like dealing with people, building that relationship, that rapport. People have a guard up against salespeople initially. It's just a natural thing that we all have, because, you know, some people think that salespeople have a sixth sensibility to make you buy things they don't want. That's not true. No one has that. And if they do, please get in touch. I've got a job for you. It's exactly. But it can be a bit standoffish. And what I learned over time is people buy from people. And if I can have a conversation with you to make you feel at ease with the pair of us being stood with each other, the best way to do that is to ask you about you. You know you better than anything else, and you will keep talking to me about yourself. During that process, we're breaking down barriers consistently, and ultimately you will give me enough information to assist me to give you what you came looking for.
Yeah.
But listening.
100%. I mean, the amount of cold calls we get of people trying to sell stuff, and the team are really good at filtering that from me now.
Yeah.
But they can be quite persistent, but it's fine as long as so I won't purchase anything that's attempted to be sold to me without a want for it.
If I needed it, I would come to you. It costs a lot of money for direct marketing.
Yes.
There's a reason that they're spending that much money.
Yeah, 100%. And it goes across the board, I think, in all businesses. Doesn't matter the category, the genre that you're in business. We all have something to sell, whether that be a product, whether that be a service, whether that be time, whether that be whatever. And it's about learning how to talk to people, I suppose.
Yeah. We have we got like a saying, not quite our ethos, but it's one of our mission statements. I think that's the best way to explain it at Cinch Telecoms, and that is that service is driven by passion, not by a script. I feel that really strongly. Like you were just saying, you get these direct marketing calls. You cannot get that person to break the script, and it's weird. You start asking questions, and they'll ignore your question entirely and continue on with the script in front of them. It feels so robotic to be trying to intervene in the script. The response feels so robotic. I switch off immediately at that point. You need to talk to people to sell people a solution.
Yes. I loved the last, so 2020 through to 2021, we got hardly any sales calls. Well, obviously because the world shut down.
Yep.
But it was like, I wasn't being hounded. We were still doing business. We were still functioning. But there just was none of that.
Yeah. I think that must have been a bit of a cost reduction exercise for some of the businesses that were spending a fortune on that type of marketing. People aren't in offices. There's no guarantee that people are working from home. A lot of companies, unfortunately, had to furlough staff, and a lot of them had to shut doors entirely.
Yeah.
You and I are very lucky in the sense that we provide services that are continuous.
Yep.
And both of our teams spent a lot of time assisting people with work from home technology.
That's what I was going to say. Did you find during that period where the world shut down, did you find that the way in which you interacted with your customers or did business had to change?
It was an interesting time because I think that there has always been an argument from staff to be able to work from home. And I think that if we just imagine there's this average company we're going to talk about, there is a mentality that the technology wasn't there to support it. That was always the go-to excuse. That was the objection to not being able to work from home. And when COVID unfortunately hit, the pandemic's in place, work from home has been initiated. It actually turns out technology's caught up really nicely in the past 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
It allowed us an opportunity to very quickly mobilize a lot of the staff for our clients to be able to work from home. We did that mostly with the telephone systems, with the use of something called a soft client or a PC client. Essentially, it's making sure that this new piece of software we put onto their laptop or their mobile phone mimics their phone in the office. So they receive any call that comes into the main business number, and they're able to make telephone calls back out from that main business number. So call traffic totally unaffected. We made a decision really early on with Cinch during the pandemic that we did not want to try and profiteer as a result of this. There is a lot of man hours involved in getting this solution out there to everybody and working from home. We didn't actually charge our clients for that service. My personal view and the view of the other directors at Cinch was how we behave now will very much dictate how people perceive us after this event. And I'm pretty proud of us really for just delivering the service that we promised in the first place and not use it as an opportunity to make a fortune.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of price gouging across the board. We found it in IT.
Yeah. And it's ugly. People remember that stuff. And look, we're all on contract terms. People will vote with their feet. And that was the last thing that I wanted to see happen. So back to our original ethos of being the company that we would want to work with. That's what I'd like to see from people I buy things from. It doesn't always work out that way, but you'll certainly remember how you were treated when the chips were down. Yeah.
So the telecoms industry is going through, or has been going through for a while, a type of change.
Of course, always changing.
Keeps being pushed out, and this is the copper lines being turned off and having to move to fibre and so forth. How does that impact you as a business, but how does that also impact other businesses out there? What's the pitfalls that business potential clients of yours or other businesses out there need to look out for, what's the story around that?
There is this big, it's called the PSTN switch off. And what's happening is the telephone lines that we all know and love and have grown up with, anyone old enough to remember having a home telephone number will remember a landline that you had to ask your parents to use before you could use it because of peak and off peak.
Or you ended up with 2 phones in your house and your mum would pick up the phone while you were on the call. And you're like, what are you doing on the line?
That's right. The good old days. Now we've established how old we both are. So they're going to switch off the public switched telephone network, PSTN. At the moment, if you receive broadband, home is the best example because this can apply to absolutely anybody watching. If you've got broadband at home, that comes in on a telephone line. So the telephone line is one product. The data, the broadband, is a second product. They don't have to be from the same company. You work with someone like Cinch Telecoms as a reseller. We tend to provide the PSTN has to come from OpenReach, and the data product can be from any number. We tend to work with someone called Gamma. They're the largest tier 1 data provider in the country. Things are going to change. They're going to switch off that copper telephone network, and we're all going to have something called FTTP, which is fiber to the premises. That is a true fiber pipe coming into your house, piece of glass fiber into your house that will carry the internet. That means no longer will we have traditional home telephone numbers anymore. We will get to keep our home telephone numbers, but they won't be on the telephone line. Ultimately, they will become VoIP telephone numbers on a broadband product. Okay. So this is all happening in a run-up to the switch off at the end of 2025. Businesses, however, aren't just stuck out there on their own. If you're working with a reseller or one of the big corporations or big carriers direct, it's in their interest to make sure that your service continues properly. So if you haven't heard anything from your telecoms provider as yet with regards to the 2025 PSTN switch off, drop them a line, make a call. If they're not being proactive, get in touch. There is a plan in place.
Burying their heads in the sand would be the phrase that comes to mind.
It can happen. It can happen. So we run reports each week to find out which of our clients are affected by recent infrastructure upgrades and who can we regrade their product on. So week in, week out, more and more people are becoming eligible to have these regrades. And the FTTP service is so much faster than what we're all used to already.
How much faster?
So I think average broadband speeds these days, I saw something from Ofcom recently. I think, bear in mind, average takes into account all the lower end as well. But I think an average speed these days is 40 to 50 meg to a house, which is more than enough to run your house on, even if you've got loads of kids on devices and stuff. It works. The newer version of broadband connectivity, you're looking at upwards of 300 megabits download. So it's a substantial change. It is. And as we all become more bandwidth hungry with all these devices at home and Internet of Things type devices in your household, it's going to help. It's going to make everything quicker. There are less moving parts, so hopefully less room for potential issues. Yeah. It's just an overall better service. And more importantly, brings us up to speed with the rest of the world.
Yeah, because the UK as a whole is lacking behind on broadband speeds, and
and it's a shame.
Even some extreme countries have got better broadband speeds than we have. So we're freaking Great Britain.
It's all infrastructure based, isn't it? So the PSTN network, this copper telephone network that runs throughout the country, is a hell of a piece of infrastructure, but it is currently operating beyond the level it was designed for. Which is part of the requirement of improving things. Whereas some of these other, maybe developing nations, for example, they never had the copper network. So putting the fiber in place, like everything's a bonus. It's all on the up and up. This switchover has been happening for a really long time.
Long time.
As frustrating as it may seem from my end or from anyone else's end, I don't think you should forget the magnitude of the operation they're undertaking and the level of collaboration between so many different individuals and organizations. It will get there. It just takes a bit of time. And if you're working with any professional comms provider, data reseller, anything like that, they have got a plan in place. And if they haven't reached out to you yet, reach out to them just to make yourself feel more comfortable.
I think it's the confusion out there because there is snippets of information about this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Oh, this date was pushed out. This isn't going to happen. And the scaremongering, because I know for a fact there are larger telecoms organizations out there scaring the living bejesus out of their clients, be that business clients or home clients that oh, if you don't move to this product right now, then you're not going to have a phone. You're not going to have this. And I think it goes back to that care and attention, that being the company that you would like to work with. And I think we've lost. Here's a question for you. I asked it in one of my first podcasts. We spoke to a social media professional and we were talking about AI. And my question is, do you think in your industry, in telecoms industry, we've lost the personal and human touch?
In some instances, yes. In larger organizations, without a doubt. But that's going to happen when you scale something. It's not like there's not a customer service representative to each person. Like the ratio of assistants to customers it is off. In any business, it is off. When that disparity increases a bit too much, that's when things sound mechanical. That's when people start to put automation in place to try and kind
There's
of.
There's nothing wrong with automation.
Carpet.
I'm not saying anything against automation. It's just whether that the human element is because people buy from people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, there's something we have seen a little bit of, and anyone should be wary about it. For example, let's say you are currently working with telecoms reseller A, and you've been with them for 5 years. Everything's fine. You haven't got a problem with it. You're contacted out of the blue by a company that tells you that super fast broadband has just been installed in your area and is now available. We had this happen to one of our clients. Now, they were really smart, and because we have a relationship, they contacted their current provider and said, we've received this. Could you have a look into it and tell me whether or not this is possible? I used the search function from the direct marketing from this other company, put in the postcode, and the service is not available and will not be for some time.
Wow.
I know this because we monitor it every week.
Wow.
What the line here tends to be is they will tell you can have it. They will sign you up for it. And once you're signed up and committed, you will be told it is not available. So here's the service that you already had from your other provider. And as soon as it becomes available, we'll regrade you up to the higher product.
Ooh.
You could end up in a very long contract with a company you have no relationship with at all, off the back of what I would consider to be deception.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, we, Cinch Telecoms, are monitoring and contacting clients in a proactive fashion when we are able to regrade them. We contact people to let them know we're doing this as well, so they don't have to worry. But the key is, whoever it is you're working with, any vendor, not just telecoms, anywhere else, if you're offered something that seems too good to be true, at least give your current provider the benefit of the doubt and give them a call and see if they can help you out with it.
Yeah, it's underhanded, and I've seen it happen with clients of ours. I've seen it happen, especially where they'll pick up the phone to me and go, "Oh, we've been offered this," and then I have one actually in mind that for like 5 years, 6 years was like, "Yep, we've been offered this," and every single time they go, "Oh no, sorry, it's not available. You can have a different product until it's ready."
It's a deceitful way of getting people on board, and then you're locked in a contract. So this brings us back again to Cinch Telecoms doesn't use any needlessly long contracts. We want you to stay with us because you want to work with us. It's not to say that we're not utilizing contracts. It's just how our business works. But they're not unnecessarily long contract terms.
Yeah, 5 year, 7 year contracts, which goes back to my question in the beginning.
Our customer retention is really good because we try and be nice to people. We're not forcing anyone to work with us. People stay because they want to stay, because they're getting a service.
Telecoms for me has always been, in personal, telecoms has always been, and is always a necessity. You always have to have broadband and phone at home. Well, phone not so much anymore, but broadband at least. Business-wise, it has always been a bone of contention with me until we started working with Cinch. It's always been a bone of contention because we get promised one thing, we don't get it. We get, oh, well, you can have this, but it's a 5 year, it's a 7 year. You've got to tie you into this, tie you into that, and it becomes frustrating. And in the IT industry, especially, the back and forth ping pong for the customer. That's why we enjoy working with Cinch, is because there is no back and forth ping in the middle.
It's just easy.
Telecom said it's your fault. IT said it's your fault.
It's like ping pong almost, isn't it?
Well, it is
Yeah.
ping pong, but gets stuck in
Between-
purgatory.
Yeah.
Just hovering, not going,
Yeah.
well, what? My issue's still not fixed. IT blames it on this. Telecoms blames it on this, and nobody's fixing my problem.
My view would be that it's not the customer's job to be able to speak geek. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So, tech engineer to tech engineer, you can use all the acronyms you like, all the, however you want to talk. It shouldn't be the client's role to try and liaise that to my team.
No.
So in the instance where the two of our businesses work together, it's nice and straightforward. If someone contacts Cinch Telecoms and we find out it's an IT problem, I wouldn't even tell the customer. I would go and speak to IT, the Computer Clinic Vista. We'll fix the problem, and then I'll go back to the client and I'll explain what happened.
Yeah.
People are so grateful that we've taken that stress away from them. And again, it's back to just being who you want to work with. I don't want to get stuck in the middle of something I'm not professional in.
No.
I just, you're kind of paying for that service. So it's not to say that every partnership works in that way.
No.
But we're very lucky that we've built a high level of synergy working between our two teams that deliver a really good service to our mutual clients.
Our clients know, so we train our clients to come to us with anything technical anyway, even if it's not ITs, because we'll know somebody or something in the industry that can assist them. But our clients will pick up the phone to, they'll talk to lead engineers and go, I really need this. I've got a new user and I need a new phone point done for them. And my team talk to your team.
Yep.
And get it sorted, rather than going, oh, well, yeah, you need to
go
raise
and
the
find
ticket and you need to go and find this and send it to us. My team's like, okay, yeah, we'll talk to her. And can you help us on this one?
Yeah.
We've dropped the ball, or the customers, not we've dropped the ball, but the customers left
There's
it to the last minute and the staff member started at 9 o'clock this morning and it's now 10 o'clock. Can we have a phone?
Part of being a solutions provider, you're not an IT support business.
No.
You are a solution provider.
Yes, a technical solution provider is usually the best thing for that. So industry PSTNs closing down, cautionary tales for clients and for business owners, not even necessarily clients or telecoms clients, because everybody's a telecoms client.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody requires telecoms for their business, but cautionary tales out there or things that you can give, and I'm not asking for trade secrets, I'm just asking for the things that could benefit people out there that can give them a little helping hand.
Things I have learned.
Yeah.
So not so much something that I've learned, something that I've done that something we've done in business that has held us in really good stead afterwards.
Okay.
We spoke earlier on about when people make mistakes, and I'd like to think that I'm not judged for making the mistake. It's about how you fix that or how you resolve that mistake. In the past, we've tried to switch some products. It has not worked as planned. It has unfortunately been to the financial detriment of a client. Without being asked, without there even being a conversation. And in fact, before I communicated with them to tell them that there was an issue, I already had a solution in place. And that solution was, you bear none of the brunt of the financial responsibility for the mistake that we as a business have made. So any money they spent was reimbursed immediately. We made sure that we looked at any cost to that business, and we were really open from the start. So no lying. But we cocked up. There was a mistake. It happened.
Holding your hands up.
It is. And being accountable. So I was wholly accountable for the mistake my business made, and I stood on it. I owned it. Now, that customer was at that point no longer in contract with us. They could have gone somewhere else. But because of the actions we took, we retained that client. Now, it took a little while still to build that relationship back up again. That is a company that is still scaling upwards as we scale. We continue to work with each other, and our relationship has become stronger because of the integrity we chose to show in what could have been a really bad instance. But again, it boils back down to being who I want to work with.
Not enough companies do that, though.
I don't think so. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. It was painful. It cost a lot of money.
Yep.
But I personally have learned from that mistake. Yeah. We made sure that the client wasn't responsible for me learning on the job.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage anybody to own things like that. You'd never want to lose a customer.
No.
That relationship would cost a fortune. I don't do the metrics on it, but the starting a relationship with someone is a very expensive process.
100%
to business.
Yeah.
It might have cost us thousands of pounds to work our way out of this. but that's way less than starting from scratch with someone.
Yeah, the cost of a client versus
Yeah.
the cost of retention of a client for doing something that, especially if it's your fault, I think businesses the world over, or let's talk just UK. So businesses UK over don't do that enough, big or small.
Yeah.
And yes, I understand some small businesses, if there's an issue like that, could put them in the ground, right? So it could be too much.
Yeah.
But I think as a principle, not enough companies do that and go, it's the accountability.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You got it on the head with the accountability.
You've heard the phrase "too big to fail," right?
Yeah.
Banding around with banks and some corporations and
they
stuff.
still fail.
I do not fall into that category.
No.
I haven't got that luxury. I am trading on my name. I was told once many years ago in a different job that it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, and it can be lost in an instance. In that particular instance, I lost my reputation. Yeah. It's a costly lesson to learn, but something that's always in the forefront of my mind when I'm dealing with people these days.
But things happen. And I mean, as business owners, you understand them, I think, as more experienced business owners, because we've been going for a while, which maybe up and coming business owners don't get or don't understand, is that shit does happen.
Yep.
So that is out of your control. It is how you handle it and how you respond to it, and making sure that if it happened and it was on your watch, you're the one that's accountable.
You've got to wear it.
Put your hand up and go, yeah, shit, that happened.
Yeah.
Apologies, but we've got a solution. Here's your solution, and this is what we're doing going forward. I talk to my engineers about it all the time. Bring me a problem, bring me a solution at the same time.
Yep.
Might not be the right solution, but
it shows you thinking though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It shows you thinking. It's half the job. The other thing that I would recommend to anybody is kind of working outside your comfort zone as well. So there's been a few instances where as a business, we've had to work outside of an area of a level of comfort. So it feels uncomfortable or painful to do this task. However, having completed that task, we are stronger as a whole.
Going up ladders.
Yeah, so you've got to go through a bit of pain to grow, really. Yep. Don't be afraid of taking a chance, of taking a leap. Do it in a measured fashion, obviously, but nothing ever got better without going through a little bit of pain in the process.
Yeah, what got you, the saying of what got you here isn't necessarily going to get you there, because you have to do.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I would quite quickly say to some things, no, we don't do that. Sometimes it might be better to take a slightly different look at it. Why is it we don't do that? It's because we don't want to? Is it because we can't, or because it's outside of a comfort zone? The first two are fine, but being outside of a comfort zone is not a reason to not follow through with something, is what I've learned.
It's how we learn.
Yeah, it's how you grow.
Yeah. I've learned more putting myself outside of my comfort zone in whatever thing that I'm doing, even if I fall flat on my face. Because like you said earlier, it's not failure.
No, you just learned what not to do next time.
100%.
Now, if you keep getting face palms every time you do something, you need to go back and look at what you're doing.
Yeah, you might need to turn around and go, well, actually, I probably shouldn't do that anymore because I'm not learning and I'm not being good at it.
Yeah.
But if you learn from it, and that's the principle behind all of this, is if the stuff that we learn can help somebody out there, then
absolutely,
it saves them from that face plant.
Yeah.
And from having that issue.
Sharing and infinite giving, right?
Sharing and infinite giving, 100%. I think infinite giving is something that every business should do in one way or another. It doesn't, I'm not saying, you only do infinite giving to thousands, millions of pounds, 100,000 pounds. Infinite giving, it's one of the best ways to move forwards.
It is even giving opportunity. So look, we've both got teams of people that work with us. I remember years ago when I was going for a job that perhaps on paper I wasn't the best for. I interviewed pretty well and I had a good opportunity from talking to somebody, but that person gave me a chance to be the person I became.
Yes.
Sounds kind of corny, but without them taking a punt on me, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to find out how well I could shine. So they saw something in me that perhaps I didn't see. They helped me become the person that I am today, and that's helped. I'm eternally grateful, and that has helped form how I would now want to help other people. So it's really important to me to offer a job, for that job to be filled, and to then give a career path, some form of moving forwards, because I want to give someone an opportunity to be the person they can be as well.
Yeah, I think that lacks a lot across all business sizes. The small SMEs more than maybe the bigger ones, but that idea of, well, if you can't do it, then I can't hire you. It's that, but you have something. It's like I say to the guys all the time, we now hire on personality.
Well, you can't train a good attitude, can you? If you come to me with a good attitude, I can teach you some skills. That's easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. 100%. I can teach you all the tech skills in the world. You can probably teach them all the telecom skills in the world and how to deal with it. But if they haven't got a good personality and they haven't got that roundness to them,
just attitude of
and
approach,
that good attitude, then it's not going to work.
No.
They're going to fall flat on their faces. But yeah, it's the way the cookie crumbles. Thank you very much for coming down.
No problem, man.
We're in this series, we're only doing 8, so we're being really selective over what we're doing because we want to give some good stuff out there. So thank you for taking time.
Appreciate you inviting me.
Thank you very much, and hopefully there will be some beneficial stuff in this to the people out there. Paul, thank you very much, and we will catch you back here some other time.
See you soon, man. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.